Department of Theater and Cinema Arts. So some of the big accomplishments that we had over the last 6 years, the last program review. The Theater Arts Designator has had a student success rate of 74%, similar to the college level. But the TAP, which is a Theater Arts Performance, which are actually our production classes, those have had a student success rate of almost 100%. And we're super excited about being able to do that for our students. Since the last program review, we've had both the Theater Arts Associate Degree for Transfer and the Technical Theater Certificate have gone live and are cataloged, and we're getting graduates from both of those certificates and degrees. Something that I added up, which was a surprise to me, but since the last program review, over 15,000 patrons have come to see theater department productions for the last 6 years, which is super exciting. Falcon's Eye Theater, which is the producing arm, right, of the department that puts on the shows. We've been recognized by the community for excellence. The SARTA, which is Sacramento Area Regional Theater Alliance, they hold the Ellie Awards every year, and most recently for our production of Macbeth last fall, we got 4 Ellie Awards for that, including Best Overall Production of a Drama. We have the Children's Theater class, which is a new class since the last program review. What the class does is the students devise their own piece for elementary school students, and they write it, and they direct it, and they act in it, and they build the sets and make the costumes and stuff like that, and then they tour that over local elementary schools. And so every fall we hold this class, and thousands of elementary school students every fall are able to see FLC students perform because of that. Some recent alumni of the department of the last 6 years to highlight. One is the master electrician and resident lighting designer at B Street Theater, is an alum of our program. One of the scenic artists at Sacramento Theater Company and Music Circus is one of our alums. One of the lead stage technicians here at the Harris Center is an alum. Stage manager at one of the stage managers at Universal Studios Hollywood is an alum, and the head electrician on the national tour of Paw Patrol Live is also an alum. Students from the department have transferred to a lot of great theater arts and film programs around the state. The cast of Falcons, which is the student theater club that David is the advisor for, every semester they produce a student production that we hold in our drama lab, and that just closed this weekend, the one weekend production they had of that. Every year we help host the Linnea High School Theater Festival. We provide logistical support and things like that. And so every winter, over 1,500 high school theater students from around Northern California come to the Harris Center for 3 days and hold intense, like 24 hours a day activities and things like that. And we're able to help expose them to FLC, what we have to offer, and in the theater department in particular. Theater arts faculty and staff have participated in a lot of interdepartmental projects mostly through the Makerspace over the last 6 years. Some of those have included the Library Aquaponics station, the Communications Lab phone booth, the Falcon logo from the Veterans Parade from a couple years ago, and the periodic table. We helped with that over the summer, and we're excited to see that come up soon. Planning is underway for our very first production we're having up at the EDC Center. This is going to be a production of Midsummer Night's Dream. It's been formed at Girard Wineries, and we're really excited to see that happen. Thank you, John, for helping make that be a thing. So come see in May for 1 weekend. Come drink some wine and watch it play. All right, so some program barriers and obstacles. One is that while the theater department, our number of sections we've offered and total enrollment numbers have almost doubled since 6 years ago, which I hadn't really realized how much it had grown. So it was really good to look at those numbers. One of the big obstacles, though, is that our productivity numbers actually have not really improved. We're hovering somewhere around 300-ish is our productivity number. So I know there's other reasons, but one of the primary reasons for that is our production classes and our shop classes and things like that have low caps for safety reasons and things like that. So while I think we can certainly do better than 300, we're definitely not going to be at chemistry level. Not going to. One of the other program barriers is, first I'll say, is that stuff related to access and costs for the theater department's use of Harris Center spaces has increased drastically for where we were 6 years ago. It's fantastic what we've improved. However, there are some specific issues related to how we relate to the Harris Center with costs and use and things like that are continue to persist, and those are some of the, while not necessarily the giant obstacles are some of the most frustrating that we've been having. So one of those things relates to the memorandum of understanding between VAPA departments and the Harris Center. This is a document that says which costs related to activities and things like that are covered by which entities. One of the things that we want to make sure that one of our needs as a department is that we faculty members be included in the final version of the MOU. This last year there was a finalized version of the MOU that went forward that we weren't able to look at before it was finalized, and it has resulted in thousands of dollars of increased expenses for the theater department for this year. And so while thousands of dollars maybe isn't huge, it has a direct impact on what we're able to offer to our students, right, in our programs of scope and size, and the educational opportunities they have for each other. Unfortunately, theater is a relatively expensive thing to do. It's not super cheap, and so every little dollar counts in helping us. Maybe a couple $1,000s means we can't dry clean clothes for a year, or means we can't pay for rights for a show for a year. So it's a big thing, and so we just want to make sure we have the opportunity as faculty is to be able to look at the final version of that MOU before it actually gets signed off on, so that we have the ability to let the parties know what the impact will be to us for the following year, which we were not able to have for this last year. Another need is the department desperately needs more additional storage space. If you want to come visit the scene shop, you will see how much we are overflowing in props and costumes and stock scenery and things like that. And to the point that it's starting to become a bit of a safety concern of how we can safely store all these things. So some possibilities for that could be, is there like a spare closet somewhere on campus that we could start helping put some stuff in? Small things like small props, small costume pieces. Another one option could be shipping containers. A couple shipping containers could be helpful for some of our large bulkier items we could keep that don't need to be necessarily in an indoor space. Those things could be paid for by strong workforce funds that the theater department has this year or next year, so it wouldn't necessarily be a cost to the campus. We could use existing funds, but we would need the ability to identify a place to put those shipping containers, and that works for everybody. One of the areas of the department that has been growing the most recently is the cinema side, right? The film side, which we're really excited about. The department needs to invest in additional video production equipment and eventually some more video production facilities like editing situations or a small film studio. A full-time professor of cinema arts is needed to take on this growing side of the department. So that's one of the things that in the long term we need to be looking at. Program leads by SLO. Like James said, he's looking into working with David on finding some more online resources for our online classes, which we're excited to see that expand. Some things that are the same as they've been before that are still issues we're still working with are student-to-tool ratios to keep things safe, but also keep students productive in shop classes and things like that. We have been making great strides for the last 6 years in investing in entertainment industry equipment and materials and things like that, but we will continue to be able to expand on that. The other thing is that we would like to continue to work on is students need greater and regular access to Harris Center spaces. So like the large-scale proscenium theater, the students, their experience in that space is limited to 3 weeks every other year. And so that's something that we could work on improving. And the other thing is Harris Center spaces, like the recording studio and stage 2, classes that we hold in those spaces, not the production, but like the acting class, the acting for camera class, classes like that. They're subject to, if the Harris Center client rents out that space, that class is not able to hold class in that space, and they have to go in another space that doesn't necessarily have the resources that need to be able to present the class. We would like to look at ways in helping figure out ways that students don't feel like second-class citizens in their own building, which sometimes is the case. That was it. How much time do we have left?
Oh, you got 35 seconds left.
Okay,
but
great.
Unless you're on the James Tells or Jason Pittman model, you got like a half hour. You failed public speaking, by the way. I'm just going to put that out.
Does anyone have any questions?
I just want to say that a fabulous job on the accomplishments. There were a lot on the screen and you talked really fast, but they all were really phenomenal how much you've done in the past 6 years. And my office is in the Harris Center, so I've seen all the increased activity all the street talking, and so good job.
Thank you.